You know, we haven't broken a record here, we've set something for the first ever time. It's the first three-person team in history to row open Arctic waters. Orlagh's the first female in history to row open Arctic waters across a distance like that.
We're just ordinary people who've done an extraordinary thing. You know, we're not finely tuned athletes. We don't do this day in, day out. I don't think you can have an average day, because there was things that happened throughout the trip which kind of, they dictated what your day was going to be like. And you don't walk on this boat. You crouch, you crawl, you hold things, you know, you sat down most of the time. Off on the horizon, you saw this kind of like misty steam. It was just all around us, just whales just coming up, breaching and coming back down.
You know, the wildlife, the birds coming in, we saw a walrus. Just the whole thing was just absolutely magical and beautiful. And I think that one day where we saw everything is a day I'll never forget.
We were on polar bear watch. We've got a flare gun just down by Savs. We've got parachute flares here.
The weather for the past certainly 4 months in that part of the world has been very different to anything they've experienced in the last 10 years, that on the whole. You know, the boat can take it, we can take it, but it's a brutal journey. You know, there is no respite, and your batteries start 100%, they quickly go down to 0. And then the last couple of bits, which a number of chapters perhaps, where just the weather was apocalyptic, we were told we might not even get to the island.
The body of water between Norway and Bear Island, that body of water is a bit that we were like generally most concerned about. And we were always like, okay, when we pass Bear Island, we're generally going to be okay. There was a kind of a fog that hit us, and it cut through all of us. It was so cold when we got to Bear Island.
We got sucked into Bear Island and the currents and the tides, so we had to free up for a while. But we're making our way out of that now.
When we were in the bigger waves, and when we were surfing these big, like there was one day when they were bigger than 8 meters and they're big rolling waves, and you couldn't steer down them with your foot steer because the boat would go sideways onto the wave, and then you're in a very dangerous situation of the boat getting rolled by the wave. You know, there was times of the trip that were fantastic, but there was a couple of days where it was a dark place for everyone.
We were smashing it, and now we were being smashed by the weather, and it was like the Arctic was kind of trying to show you who actually really is in charge. Like,
you know, and outside this storm is just getting massive, and the boat's being smashed all over the place.
it was actually the storm we'd been warned about, that if we didn't get in on Friday, we wouldn't have got in until this had passed through.
Even if you were so tired, you had to get up and row because your teammates wouldn't have got their rest.
By the time you're actually consciously pulling the hat over your eyes to be like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now, but you can't sleep because you're afraid you're not going to wake up.
Shift pattern I find quite intense with the 2 hours on, 1 hour off.
These currents we were in, I've never seen anything like them in my life. And also for Andy, it got tougher as we went further because the strength of the currents.
Go on, a few tears for the camera. Just a couple. Go on.
I think the human body is an incredible thing. I think we underestimate what we're capable of.
When I was rowing, I was like, I'd be obsessed with the numbers.
So amazingly easy, you can see Andy and Orlagh hard at work, looking at the numbers.
So we had the display that showed us how many miles it was to our next waypoint. And I became like fixated on it for my 2 hour shift.
And we had additional visits from emergency helicopters. We had a kind of Coast Guard warship thing come up to us and send out a team just to check we're okay.
You've got this internal battle with yourself of, well, I don't want to get in the helicopter and I don't want to be rescued and I don't want to have to go back and tell everybody that supported us that actually we failed. Well, is that you being stubborn? Is that you being proud? Is that your ego? Or is that actually just reality?
Had a very long last 24 hours.
Yeah.
And this is now the final stretch. We just crossed a very busy current.
Longyear Harbour, this is ocean rowing vessel Invictus, please come in over.
When you get off this boat onto solid ground, and we have a thing called sea legs, which is where your mind and your legs are actually working to keep you balanced on something that's moving. And when you got back onto a solid thing, it throws your center of balance completely off.
To be able to carry the UAE flag across the Arctic is something I think we're all incredibly proud of and very thankful for.
Try and be like proud individually, but more so at the minute, I'm just very proud of the team.